Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today's video I kind of wanted to do like a look that was fall inspired. So some warmer, some deeper shades, maybe some colors that'll kind of match my sweater. So if you're interested in seeing how I do this look or how the look will turn out, just keep on watching. Okay, so starting from scratch, I'm going in with some foundation, and the foundation that I'm going to be using today is the Colourpop No Filter Stix. So I actually reviewed this in my last video when I did like a Colourpop haul. And I really like this. I've been using it every day since. And the color that I am using is Fair 05W. So again, this is the Colourpop No Filter Stix. If you haven't tried it yet, I really urge you to pick this up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some to my face. Okay, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and instead of using the Morphe brush that I always use for foundation to blend it out, I am going to be using the Sigma Curved Kabuki brush F83. It looks like this. So if you can see, it kind of like has this little curve to it, and I find it really good to get into the crevices of your face. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to blend this out with this brush, and then I think I'm going to go in with a beauty sponge to kind of press it in afterward. Okay, so now that it's mostly on, I'm going to go in with this Real Techniques beauty sponge and just kind of press it in to my face. The only reason why I use both is because I find the more, I guess, creamier texture of the stick foundation, it just kind of leaves a little bit of streaks when I use a brush. So I like to kind of disperse it all on my face first and then go in with this last, just to kind of get rid of any little bristle marks and just to kind of push this in a little further. Okay, so now that that's all pushed in, I am going to be going in with some concealer. And the concealer that I'm going to be trying today, I actually haven't really used this that much. It's actually the, what is this? The MAC Studio Fix 24 Hour Smooth Wear Concealer. So this one is in the shade NW22. So I actually haven't used this much. I might have tried it like once or twice while rushing to work, but I haven't really like sat here and kind of like paid attention to how it applied or how it wore. So I'm actually going to use this one today. I will be using some MAC eyeshadows, so might as well stick with the MAC theme for a little bit. So I'm just going to put this under my eyes, a little bit here. I like to put some down my nose and just in little other random spots on my face. And I'm going to be blending it out again with the same sponge that I have been using. Okay, so that looks pretty good and blended, and it actually wore really good on top of that foundation, so I'm pretty happy with that. So next I'm going to go in and do my usual under eye baking with the Maybelline Fitme Loose Setting Powder, again in the shade 05 Fair. And again, I'm just taking it on a more, I guess you could say, harder beauty sponge. I think I just got this at Winners, and it really wasn't squishy enough for me to kind of use as foundation or concealer. So now I just kind of use it as powder, and I would actually prefer using like a more hard one for powder. So I'm just going to go and put some under my eyes a little bit. And if you notice, I always kind of go up my nose a little bit. And the only reason for that is just because I find it kind of helps, not really contour, but when I go to put bronzer on the bridge of my nose at the end, it just kind of gives a nice contrast with the light from the powder on the sides, and then that one kind of just on the edge of my nose. Okay, so while that is setting, I'm going to go in and do some brows, and I'm going to be using my favorite brow product of all time, which is the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Taupe. So it is the perfect brow color for me. Actually, shade-wise, what really matched was that Colourpop one that I used in my last video. The color of that, like, seriously, like, really matched my natural hair color. But I really like the texture and the formula of this, so this is what I usually go to. And I'm just taking this on a liner brow brush. This one is from Quo. It's a Shoppers brand. So I'm just gonna start lining my brows. So you'll probably notice when I do my brows, and you might see this on like other people's brows, they don't actually pull the color like completely through all the way to the front. So like what I like to do is I like to go bold and like a lot of color like through all my brows, like from here on, and then in the front I like to kind of just put like a line on the bottom and then just kind of pull the color through lightly, so it is a little bit lighter in the front of my brows. And that is because so like when you're looking at someone face on, if all their brow is just like one dark color, you're gonna be like, whoa, that's like a lot of brow. So I like to kind of just keep it a little light towards the inner corner of my brow, and then I just find it helps, I guess, diffuse the color of your brows a little bit. It's not as harsh, especially if you have thicker brows like I do. So my brows are pretty much my natural thickness and shape. I just always just pluck under here the sparse little hairs, and I always just pluck in between my eyebrows. So if you have thicker brows like me, it really does help to kind of not put a full thick layer of all the same thickness of color on your whole brow. Okay, so brows are done, and I'm just gonna go in and swipe the bake off, and I'm using a Morphe R3 brush, and I'm just gonna go in and wipe it all off. This is one of my favorite parts of doing my makeup, because then once you wipe the bake off, you're left with just like a complete canvas that you just pretty much prepped. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with some bronzer, and the bronzer I'm gonna be using is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil in the shade Deep, Medium Deep actually. So this is the color there. I might have mentioned this in another video before, but I actually find the shade of this one really good for light skin tones. It's more of like an ashy brown and not so more of like a deep brown, so I like that. So I'm just going to take it on the small contour F05 brush, the brush that I always use. I'm just going to start putting it in the places in which I always apply bronzer. And a little bit down my nose. Now it's time for some blush, and I'm going to go in with a Milani Baked Blush, and I wasn't sure which shade I was going to use. So I was kind of contemplating between these two shades here. This one is called Luminoso, and this one is called, what is this one called? Rose D'Oro. So the only difference is this one's a little bit darker and it has some gold flecks kind of going through it, and this one is just kind of like a shimmer. So I might be bold and try the darker one. So let's just give it a try, but I'm going to use a really light hand with it. So again, this one is Rose D'Oro by Milani, and for those of you who live local, you can actually pick these up at Lawton's in Sydney there. To apply this, I'm going to be using the Sigma Powder Blush Brush F10, so it looks like that. And I'm just going to very lightly dip into it. And oh yeah, it's kind of, it's very pigmented. So it does kind of have like a little bit of an orangey tinge. Not really orange, but like, I don't know, not my usual pink color in which I wear. Like I wear this one all the time. This one's Dulce Pink, so it's definitely a little different from that color. But we're going to try it with this look. So now I'm going to go in and start the eyes. So, and for eyeshadow, I am going to be using all of the single eyeshadow refill pans by MAC. So these are $9 if you wanted to pick them up online or anything like that. They are super nice. I love them. I have them in a bunch of different shades. So the first color that I'm going to be going into is actually called Soft Brown. So it's like a nice light brown. It's like perfect for a transition shade. So I'm actually going to be going in with the Morphe E23 brush. It's like a bigger, a larger blending brush, and I find it perfect for transition shades because my eye space is quite large. So I just find it's like, it gives me like the perfect amount of height in my eyeshadow. So I'm just gonna go in and blend this color in my crease first. So as you can see, it just kind of added like a nice neutral, a little bit of color to the crease of my eye. And now I'm going to be going in with a darker color. So I'm going to be going in with a shade called Brown Script. So this one is like, it's almost like a really nice terracotta brown. I love this shade. I usually wear this one like all over the lid and just to do like a quick eye look. But I'm going to go in and use a Sigma Tapered Blending E40 brush. So I'm just going to dip into this and I'm just going to darken up my crease just a little bit. So to blend, I'm just literally just taking a brush and doing back and forth motions. And the more you do this, the more it'll be blended out. So just do that until you feel like there's no distinct line between shadow and no shadow. I might actually deepen that up a little bit more and use like the next shade down from that one. And this one is called Swiss Chocolate, so it looks very similar except it might be like 1 or 2 shades darker. So I'm going to go in with the same brush that I was just using and just kind of focus this on the mid to the end of my eyelid. Okay, so once that color is blended out, I'm going to go in with a darker shade, and I'm going to be using the Morphe E17 brush. It's like a smaller brush like that, and I'm going to be going into the shade I'm Into It. So it's like a darker, it's almost like a darker reddish burgundy color. It's an absolute beautiful shade. So I'm just going to dip into that and just focus this on the outer corner of my eyelids. So if you wanted to kind of clean it up, you can just go back in with the bigger brush just to kind of get rid of any little lines or any little extra pigment that just might have fallen out of place. So I have this shade and it's called Coppering. It's like a metallic shade. I'm debating whether I want to use a little bit of this. You know what, maybe I will. Maybe I'm just going to take a little bit on my finger and just put it close to the outer, maybe close to the outer corner of which I just put that darker burgundy shade. And I'm just using my finger because I just find it, your finger works a little bit better with like metallic shades. So I'm going to take that little brush that we've been using and just kind of blend that in a little bit. Before I put the middle shade on, I am going to go in and kind of smoke out the lower lash line a little bit. So I'm going to be taking that first kind of terracotta brown called Brown Script, and I'm going to be taking this little brush again and just kind of dipping into that and just kind of sweeping it under my lash line. So when I do this, I like to kind of bring it down a little bit, like kind of where the bottom like of my eyeball kind of like matches my lid space on the bottom part. So, and I like to bring it over to where it connects to this corner. So if you can see that it's right here, and I kind of just sweep it up like that so there's no like distinct line between the top and the bottom. I'm going to go in with that darker brown Swiss Chocolate and just do the same thing. Just kind of layer it on top. And I'm going to go back in with I'm Into It again and just give that a little bit in the outer corner on the bottom. I'm going to go in with an even darker color. This one's called Embark, so it's like a really dark, like earthy brown. And the same brush that we've just been using, I'm just going to go in a little bit with this and add a little bit just to the corners. Just to give it a little more depth and definition to the colors. So I'm going to go in with a precise little blending brush. This is the Sigma Blending E36 brush, so it's a little smaller. So I'm just going in with that brown shade again and just kind of giving it a more precise line inside of my crease. So now it's time for the last eye shade that's going to go on my eyelids, and this is Amber Lights. So if you can see, it's kind of like a metallic-y, amber goldy color. So this shade is absolutely stunning. I love this shade. So I'm just going to take a little bit on my finger, so you can even see like how pigmented it is on my finger. And I'm just going to kind of tap this in the middle towards, not really blend it in, but just kind of tap it in the middle, and you'll see what I mean in a second. It kind of gives it like a spotlight effect. So I'm just going to do the same on this one before I add a little more. So if you wanted to emphasize this lighter shade more than what it already is on my eye, I could have went in earlier and just kind of prepped this area with a little bit of concealer. That way when this color went on, it would have been a little more vibrant, but I like the way that this turned out here. You could also take a little bit on your brush. I'm just going to take some and I'm going to put it on the Blending E25 brush, and I'm just going to load up my brush with this color. And you could take a little bit of setting spray. I'm just going to be using some of the Fix Gold Light from MAC, and I'm just going to spray a little bit like this and literally apply it. And when you do that, it just gives that extra little bit to the color. So you can see it just kind of brightened it up a little bit, made it a little more metallic. Not that it really needs to be, because this color is literally so bright and shiny. So for the inner corner of my eye, I think I'm going to go in with the shade Goldbit. So it's just like this nice, kind of like shimmery, sparkly, light gold color. And I'm going to be going in with the Morphe Y22 brush. So this brush is perfect for the inner corners and brow bone. So I didn't do any color right here at the start, so I'm just going to take a little bit and just blend that in. A little bit under my brow bone, just to kind of lighten things up a little bit. I'm going to be going in with the Sigma Small Angled E65 brush, so this is what I use for everything. And I'm not going to be going in with the black. I'm actually going to be going in with that same deep brown shade that we used in the corner called Embark. So I'm just going to take some of this and I'm going to line my eyes with it on the top, and I'm going to do a little bit on the bottom. It just kind of gives it a little more depth. Like, I didn't want something really thick for eyeliner. My eye looks right now aren't that dramatic yet, I guess. So I'm not going in thick or anything on my lash line. I'm literally just putting a small little strip of deep brown. I find this just kind of helps to open your eyes a little bit and just give it that final little definition to your eyes. So I'm going to take a little bit and I'm just going to do the very bottom corner. I don't think I'm going to pull it all the way through. I'm just going to stick in the waterline and a little bit further down. Okay, so now I'm going to put some mascara on, and I'm going to be using my favorite, which is the Maybelline Colossal Big Shot Mascara. And this is in the shade Blackest Black. So this mascara, it doesn't matter how many layers that you apply, it will not like clump up your eyes. And I know some will actually start to like separate your eyelashes into clumps, but this one does not do that. So that's what I really like about this mascara. So you can keep building up and it will keep your lashes separate and not get clumpy. So I'm gonna do my bottom. So this is how the look looks like with mascara. So as you can see, it just kind of ties everything together, as it always does. You could take it a step further and do some false eyelashes, but I don't really wear false eyelashes a whole lot, only if there's like an occasion. I know there are some people who wear them every day, but I'm just not there yet. And the reason why I say yet is because I probably will someday as I get more comfortable wearing them. But as of now, I just like to go ahead with mascara and just use my natural lashes. So I think I'm just going to go on top of that blush that I did before, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that pink shade that I always use just to kind of give it a little more color, nothing extreme. Okay, so for highlighter, I am going to be going in with the Anastasia Amrezy highlighter. So that looks like this, and I chose this one just because this one's like a golden highlighter as opposed to like a pinky one. I am applying this with the Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter F03 brush, and I'm just going to be applying this to all the places that I normally put highlighter. So I like to put some on top of my brows just a little bit, on my cheekbones. I do my nose, and I like to kind of go down the bridge of my nose. And my Cupid's bow right here, and a little bit on my chin. Last thing is lips, and I will be using my absolute favorite lip color right now, and it is from NYX, and it is the NYX matte lipstick, and this one is in the shade Whipped Caviar. So again, for my local viewers out there, you can get this at Lawton's in Sydney. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to my lips. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I hope you like it, and as you can see, it kind of ties into my sweater. I will be listing everything that I used in the description box below, so if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more by me, please subscribe. I really appreciate everyone who has been giving me support so far, from all the views to all the likes to all the comments that people have been messaging me with. I really appreciate it. I guess I will be seeing you in my next video. Bye!